Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my PIF Talk. I'm Liz Cresci. I'm a strategic growth coach. And I'm sure, I don't know whether or not you're familiar with the concept of a PIF Talk, but PIF, PIF, stands for Pay It Forward. And as coaches, we do a talk once a month. And the only payment we ask is that you help us spread the word about what we do here and help us towards our mission of coaching millions more and do something out of kindness for someone. Smile at someone on the street, bring your neighbor's newspaper in, whatever it is that you feel called to do. So, we at Life Coach University, as I mentioned, are on a mission to coach millions more. And we come once a month for PIF Talks. And we have now for 2023 our Let's Coach 2023, which is a daily or almost daily half an hour group coaching call. So if you can, if you want to join us, check out lifecoachuniversity.com and come and join us. So with that said, again, hello and welcome. I'm Liz Cresci, strategic growth coach with Legacy of Growth. And today I thought we would talk about our beliefs and how they affect us. And then I'm going to introduce to you my methodology, which hopefully will help going forward for you in some way. And I'm about to sneeze, so I'm sorry. Hang on just a second. Apologies. Not a good thing to do on a webinar, but hey, this is live, so it happens, it happens. So let's get started. Henry Ford has said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Super powerful and very true. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Beliefs shape who we are and our experience. They're born out of our experiences, actually. And all you have to do is look around and think about the way you experience things. Merriam-Webster defines belief in 3 ways. 1, as a state or habit of mind in which trust or confidence is placed in someone or something. 2, something that's accepted, considered to be true, or held in it as an opinion, something believed. Or 3, a conviction of the truth of some statement of reality, of some being or phenomenon, especially when based on examination of evidence. So today we're going to deal a little bit with all of them, right? For us individuals, mostly it's the habit or state of mind, but we accept them and we consider them to be true, or we have an opinion about them. Why? Because we believe that they're based in some reality, right? We believe that there's evidence of that. And, Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist, which if you've never read that book, it's very short. It's a great book. It's a good story, right? There's a lot of truth to it. He said, you are what you believe yourself to be. And I challenge that that's right, that's correct, right? Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul, said, you believe your belief determines your actions. Your action determines your results, but first you have to believe. So beliefs influence us all the time, good and bad, right? They're formed, as I said earlier, by our experiences, our inferences, our deductions, right? How we have the meanings that we have given them. And we also form them by just blindly accepting what other people tell us to be true. Oftentimes that's our parents, that's our teachers or other important and influential people in our lives. This day and age, we have social media and there are influencers. They're influencers for a reason because they help shape our beliefs, right? They talk about products or their thoughts and beliefs, and people just the more they hear it, the more they tend to fall into that category and believe it. Now, beliefs, as I said, are both good and bad. So I'd like to ask you to take a moment and think about some beliefs that are in action for you today. They're everywhere. They're in everything. Even the good beliefs, we tend to just let them pass, accept them, and we don't even really think about. So, what would be an example of a good belief? I mean, good is relative, right? So what would be an example of just maybe even a neutral belief? The belief that the sun will rise every day, right? Do we know for a fact that it's going to rise tomorrow? No, but we believe it will. And how about the belief that the coffee maker is going to work when I want it to? That's a big one for me. I want to get up and I want to have my cup of coffee, and I believe that my coffee maker is going to work. How about a belief that a hot shower in the morning is a great way to start the day? For some people, they believe that a cold shower is a great way to start the day. A belief that once I plug my computer in, everything will work as I intended it to. A belief that when I walk into a room and flip the light switch on, the lights will turn on. Do I have proof of that? No, I just accept it as true. A belief that I'll be able to drive from here to there with no issues. My car won't break down. I won't have a flat tire. Nobody's going to hit me. Or, those are just simple beliefs. Beliefs are in everything. Some beliefs do work against us. Negative beliefs that we also tend to just accept them. But when we actually think about these, and we speak about them more often, right? So why is that? Right? And as a culture, certainly here in the US, I can't speak for anywhere else in the world, but as a culture, as humans here, we tend to have a negativity bias, right? We look for the negative. Everything, we just sort of allow the good to kind of wash down the river, but we focus on things that go wrong, things that aren't the way we want them to be, things that maybe make us feel bad. And I don't know why that is. I'm not a psychologist, but I tend to believe that those are things that we are trained to think about. Our brains, we still have it. You listen to people talk and they still talk about the lizard brain, right? The amygdala that's been there always trying to protect us. And, way back when we were in the caveman days, if the bush was moving, you got scared because your belief is that something could be there that's going to come and eat you. And that was probably true, maybe 10% of the time, 20% of the time. I don't know. But that kept us safe. And that's the part of the brain that wants us to stay safe. So I want you to realize that our brains, they function in such a way that they want to protect us. And in doing that, they do lie to us all the time. But they don't, well, let me rephrase that. They don't necessarily seek to lie to us all the time, but they will show us proof that we seek. We lie to ourselves all the time, and then we prove it. and then therefore it becomes true, which becomes our belief, which then shapes the way we show up in the world. And it's like a vicious cycle, right? So how do you identify your beliefs? Honestly, you reflect on your behavior. If you want to identify your negative beliefs, which is really kind of what we're talking about today, the positive beliefs are there, the neutral beliefs are there. And if you wanted to spend some time, just before you do anything, ask yourself what you believe about it, right? So we're going to focus on the negative or um, side of the beliefs today. So what's not working for you, and how do you handle it? I have to write them down, put them in black and white. Everyone that you can think of, personal beliefs, vague beliefs, passionate beliefs, categorize them, right? Your family or specific situations, work, yourself, whatever. And make a list too of things that challenge you or that you purposely avoid, or that you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach like, oh, I don't want to do this. Or don't, you just want to, even as an adult, throw a toddler temper tantrum. Don't make me do this. I don't want to. Like you could, like your parents pulling on you and you're holding on to the door frame. Like there's those emotions within us about certain things. Those are classic telltale signs that you have a negative belief. Or, a limiting belief. That's often negative or limiting belief. I'm going to use those interchangeable because I see them as the same thing. And see if you can identify them. So a limiting belief is just that. They're beliefs that limit or restrict us in some way. And you want to be able to ferret those out, right? Those are often false accusations that we make about ourselves, and where we feel like they're absolutes every time, always. And they oftentimes come from family beliefs, from our education, things that we've learned, but mostly they come from having a fixed mindset. And, we've talked about Carol Dweck's book in the past, Mindset, and she's come out with, she's identified the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And the fixed mindset has a belief that you're born with whatever skills that you have. There's no opportunity to grow further or um, to learn something new, right? You are what you are, and there's no changing it. So just accept it. And then you have the growth mindset that believes that everything is learnable, that you can up level your skills, you can up level how you show up, and all you have to do is find a way to do it. If somebody came before you and has done it before, then you too are able to do the same thing. And it's super interesting because if you have a fixed mindset, you can work that into a growth mindset. You can become a growth mindset person. And it's really interesting because the fixed mindsets tend to be all or nothing. Oh, I could never do that because I don't, nobody ever showed me how to do it. Okay. I challenge you, especially if you have a fixed mindset and you're steadfast and you're just have no ability to have an open mind or consider other options, that you work on that muscle, because that's what holds us back, right? And experiences that we've had, especially those that don't end well, oftentimes we make a belief out of that. And those beliefs become part of our identity as a person. Our identity is changeable. Our identity, the word identity, it seems so triggering to a lot of people because they believe that their identity is just that. There is no changing. It is what it is. But I'm going to challenge you on that, because as as Paulo Coelho said, you are what you believe yourself to be. Your identity is what you believe your identity to be. Frank Lloyd Wright said, the thing always happens that you really believe in. and the belief in a thing makes it happen. So again, just to put it in different words, bring it back to Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you believe in it, then it's going to happen because you're going to make it happen. You will find a way to make it happen. So here's some examples of some limiting beliefs, and believe me, the list is endless, right? Beliefs like, I can't cook. I'm not good enough. That's a big one. A lot of people have that one. Nobody likes me. I'm not clever enough. I don't have enough time. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't deserve love. I'm never going to be happy. I won't ever be successful. Those are just listening to them, you can feel the disempowerment, right? Let's take a couple of these. I can't cook. Okay, have you ever tried? What does that mean? You're not a 5-star Michelin chef? Not everybody is. Can you read? Do you like to play around in the kitchen? Could you ever learn to cook? Somebody that says, I can't cook, could they learn to cook? How would they go about doing that? They'd find a cookbook. They'd put it on the counter. They'd gather the ingredients and they'd follow step by step, right? I'm not good enough. That belief, I am willing to bet, is in probably 80%, if not more, of the human beings walking this earth. And we pick these beliefs up from crazy places. And honestly, when you break it down, they're just stories that we've told ourselves over and over again. So, with any belief, we just need to dive into them and understand them. Like, where did they come from? Are they even true? And, just because you think something does not make it true. As I said earlier, our minds lie to us all the time. We lie to ourselves all the time. So we can't just blindly believe in what we're thinking. We have to test it. If it's not the first question, and one of the most important questions about things that we think about is, does it serve me? Does it serve me? Because if it doesn't serve me, then I need to look deeper at it. If it serves me, then great. Let me keep it. I like the way it works because it's serving me. So if it doesn't serve me, now we need to dig a little deeper. Has there ever been a time where you were convinced that you couldn't do something and then you did and it worked, right? Has there ever been a time in your life that you maybe said, oh, I can't do this, but you had to do it anyway and it worked out okay? You started with the belief that you couldn't do it and you ended up proving to yourself that you could. That's an example of a limiting belief that you have worked through or that you have proven wrong. So it's there. It could have been, I don't know, maybe a science experiment in school, or running a mile, or doing 10 chin-ups, or maybe it was asking that special someone on a date and now you're in a committed relationship with them, right? If you look for examples of ways you've overcome some of these limiting beliefs and you tag those beliefs as limiting beliefs, because that's just it. They're limiting. They're not absolute. They're just holding you back. So the amazing thing about our brains is it will show us the proof for what we seek, right? We've talked in the past about the reticular activating system, RAS, and usually the example I give, because it was one that I had, and it's super, super simple for a lot of people um, to understand right off, is, let's say you are buying a car and you choose to buy a white car because you haven't seen too many of them around. And right when you make the decision to buy a white car, or the minute you pick it up, now all you see are white cars. Why? It's not that they all of a sudden everybody decided because you did to buy a white car. They were always there. But our brains filter certain things that are interesting or useful or necessary for us and our experiences, because they can't handle every bit of information that comes through at any given time. I mean, we must have like 60 million bits of information every day. That's a lot to filter through. So your brain says, what's important to Liz today? And that's what you're going to find. If you decide that you want to find proof that you can't cook, or that you're not good enough, or that you don't have enough time, or that nothing works out for you, or that you don't deserve love, or you're never going to be happy, your brain says, right, let me show you. Because our brains are neutral. We are, as human beings, are not born with the beliefs that we have at all. We are born with a clean slate, if you will, right? And it's through our experiences, and it's through the people around us, and our culture, and our families, and the schools that we go to, and the things that we watch and learn and read and put in, that we get out, right? Our brains are like computers. I can't remember that phrase. It's a computer programming phrase, like what goes in is what comes out, right? So if you constantly bombard yourself with negative media, and you you read horror flicks or horror books, and you watch horror movies, and you wonder why you're afraid all the time, that's because you're putting that stuff in your brain. If you, on the flip side, watch empowering movies about the hero of the movie, or the protagonist of the movie overcomes major odds and has a wonderful life, or accomplishes something, or becomes a hero, and you read the books like that, and you're going to start getting more of that out. So it's really what you put in is what you're going to get out. And the RAS, the reticular activating system, shows us the proof of that. So a lot of times people feel like, this is just me. It's nobody else has this experience. And I'm going to challenge that. And for me, the easiest way to check and see if other people feel the same way, in this case around limiting beliefs or negative beliefs, is just check Amazon, right? There are hundreds, if not more, books around this subject. In fact, they all have titles like Dr. Nick Hall's book, which is an Audible book from Nightingale Conant, called Change Your Beliefs, Change Your Life: How to Take Control, Break Old Habits, and Live the Life You Deserve. If that does not sum it up, change your beliefs, change your life. I'm here to tell you that this is true. It's not, it's not easy. It's super simple. Change the way you think, change the input, change the output. Change the way you think, change your life. Simple concept, but it is not easy. And it's something that we have to step up to, and we have to consciously take those steps to make those changes. It's easy to be unconscious in our lives. It's easy just to react to whatever comes our way, and I don't have to think about it. And it's not something, at least here in the States, that we are taught in school to be able to take control of our lives, to design what we want the output to look like. That's what we're talking about today, is grabbing hold of those things and seeing if they serve us, and if they don't, change them, right? So if that doesn't tell you something, the Amazon, the fact that you can look up hundreds of books, and offer yourself proof that it's not just you, I'm not sure what does. So let's get into, how do you overcome these limiting beliefs? because it's only your mind that's holding you back. If somebody has come before you and done what you desire to do, there's no reason that you can't do it, right? So the first thing that you need to do is identify that belief about something. This is really the hardest part because sometimes these beliefs are so like reclusive or clandestine that they operate in the background and we don't really recognize that for ourselves. So we have to see and ferret out what they are, right? But in doing that, understand that we as people view the world through our own filter. It's our own filter. It's not like anyone else's. My filter, the filter of beliefs, which is where the filters come from, right? Is how I see the world. It's not necessarily, it's not the same way you're going to see the world. Everyone has their own view. It's not the reality. It's my reality. It's our reality, right? So as they used to say, there's three truths to everything. There's my truth, there's your truth, and there's the real truth, right? So that's because we view these things through our different filters. And in those filters, show us the proof. Those are our RAS, right? So ferret out some of these beliefs. And how can you do that? So it's going to be things that you struggle with, perhaps, definitely things that you procrastinate on, or that you get that feeling in your stomach that you're like, oh, I really don't want to do that. And, or it's things that show up constantly that, you're like, yeah, see, I told you I wasn't good enough. Yeah, see, I told you, I'm not attractive enough. That's why I don't have somebody in my life. These are not true. There is someone out there for everyone. And if you show up as the kind of partner that you would like to attract, you're going to find them, right? Nobody outside of you can make changes for you. And they can try, but that just breeds resentment, right? So identify your belief about something. Again, the hardest part. Understand that these beliefs are coming through your filter and then write them down, because getting them from here onto paper takes the emotion out of it. It allows you to actually formulate the thought, and you want to be able to really explain it. Many of our beliefs are hard to explain because they're not fully formed. So it's challenging, right? And as we roll thoughts around in our head, they tend to grow legs, or they spider out into different places and they go from one thought to another. But if you really understand it and you write it down, that's what we want. You should be able to explain your belief to someone else, right? And why. So why exactly do you believe this to be true? I don't know. Why exactly do you believe this to be true? That again takes some time because we don't always know why. And then find the evidence. What makes it true? Oh, let's take something as simple as I can't cook, right? I can't cook. Why do I believe this? Well, because every time I either undercook it or I overcook it, or, you know, it's terrible. People tell me they don't like my food. What makes it true? Well, the fact that I burned the turkey on Thanksgiving makes it pretty much true. What if I'm wrong? Ask yourself that question. What if I'm wrong? What if I said, I believe the fact that I can't cook to be true because I burned the turkey on Thanksgiving? Okay, think it through. Could could there be another way? Is it always the case? Absolute always? And how is this belief serving me? Okay, I can't cook. So how does that serve me? Well, it does get me out of cooking dinner often, which is nice. But I want to be able to do something nice for my family and have those traditional foods and the comfort, and and have the memories around the dinner table. And if I can't cook, I can't cook, right? So it's not really serving me. And would you tell that to somebody else? So something benign like I can't cook. Could I tell my friend, "Hey, listen, lady, you can't cook," or "Hey, dude, you can't cook"? I don't know that I would say it that way, but then why am I saying it to myself? We do this a lot. "Oh, I'm not pretty enough," or I'm not attractive enough to find a partner." Are you going to say that to somebody that you meet on the street? Are you going to say it to your best friend or your sister or your brother or your colleague? Nobody goes up to you and says, "Hey, dude, you're not attractive enough to find somebody." No, that's a hurtful thing. So here, stop. Stop being so mean to my friend. I say that to my friends a lot who start in on the I can't, I won't, I'm not. Stop being so mean to yourself. If you wouldn't say that to another person, how dare you have the double standard? Why is it different for you? Who makes you so important that you can take that, but nobody else can? No. Knock off the double standard. So if you're not going to say it to your friend, then you should not be saying it to yourself. So then take this belief and what would be different about this belief if you viewed it in a more positive way? What if I took that belief, I can't cook, and said, what if I believed that I can cook, or well, I might not create, you know, chef worthy meals, but I can cook comfort food. I can't cook. Can I always not cook? What if I could? What if I had one dish that I made my own? What if I had one thing that I tried to perfect, and every day, every Tuesday for the next month, I made that same dish in a slightly different way, writing it down, and that way I could duplicate it again. It's funny because I don't really love to cook on an everyday basis. I can cook if I have to. I love to cook um like a have friends over for dinner or like an event kind of thing because I can be creative. But having um that every day, I just don't love to do it. But I have what I call my frigo misto specialty. Frigo being refrigerator, misto in Italian is mix, right? So I open up the refrigerator and I figure out what's there and I make the meal. And the joke in my family is great news. If you hate it, you'll never have it again. Bad news. If you love it, you'll never have it again because I don't always write it down and I just sort of throw things together. And I would say 9 times out of 10, it comes, I get good feedback, or at least my family goes back for seconds, which is always the best compliment, right? So either that or they're so hungry they'll eat anything. But I choose to believe it's a compliment. So what are, how could you view that in a positive way? You know, it can be fun. It doesn't have to be a drudgery. You know, I don't deserve love. That's a big one too that comes up. I want to challenge that. What would it be? How would your life be different if you did deserve love? Would you tell somebody, would you tell your friend that they don't deserve love? No. Is there anyone in this world that doesn't deserve to be loved? I'm going to challenge you and say no, that everybody deserves it. From the time they are brought into this world, they deserve to be loved. Unfortunately, not everybody is. Then they turn around and make that a belief of theirs. But if we don't love ourselves more than then who, like, we have to be able to do that. We have to find ways that we can love ourselves, or our existence would be pretty miserable. So, what would be different about this belief if you did view it in a positive way? How would I don't deserve love be different if you did deserve love? If you could view that in a positive way, could you create alternative or creative ways to come up with supporting the positive side and not supporting the negative side? Because we can come up with negative reasons. I don't deserve love because I got an F on my my math homework in the 3rd grade, and my mother got really mad at me. I don't deserve love because I was calling an expired real estate listing and the person slammed the phone down on me. Maybe were in the middle of a fight, or they had a migraine and the phone was ringing and ringing. They picked it up and slammed it down. It had nothing to do with you. How decide in this time? We've identified the beliefs. We've challenged it by saying, why exactly do I believe this? What makes it true? Looking for evidence. What if I'm wrong? How is it serving me the way it is? And would I say this to somebody else? Now you need to decide. And we've asked ourselves what would be different about this belief if it was more positive. So here we can decide how we want to feel or think or show up around this belief instead. I want to feel that I deserve love. I want to feel that I'm a worthy person. I want to feel that I'm attractive. I want to feel that I'm a good cook. Like, how do you want to feel or think about it? Write that down, articulate it as specifically as possible, because if you can write it down, that means you understand it. If you can explain it in a way that somebody else would understand it, then you understand it. And that's where we need to get. We need to get to the point where you understand it. And then the next challenge is finding evidence to support your new belief, your alternative belief, to see if it might be true. How will you know? How will you know if you're a good cook? For me, I know because people go back for seconds. I also know because people will say, "Oh, this is good." But, to me, when they go back, actions are so powerful for me, right? So if you went back for seconds, then I know that you liked it, because you might have to eat it at my dinner table for the first time, but you don't have to eat it a second time, right? So test those alternative beliefs to see if they might be true. Ask yourself in different situations, how can I show that this is the positive outcome I'm looking for? And keep reminding yourself over and over of what your new belief is, because it's a habit, right? Having those beliefs our reactions are habitual. The idea that we have those beliefs is habitual. So keep reminding yourself, write them down, put them on your bathroom mirror, put them in your calendar book, stick them in your phone so they pop up every once in a while. Because we as people, we are worthy, we are deserving, we are enough. We have the power of choice. Give yourself over to that. Allow yourself to have a choice in everything. When you just react instead of become proactive, you don't have much of a choice. If you don't purposely curate your experience and what you want and go after that, and all you do is wait for the life to come at you so you can respond, you're not giving yourself choice. Choice is everything. Having a choice allows you to make a decision that takes you down a path that you want to go instead of one that's given to you. Super powerful. And these limiting beliefs, these negative beliefs that we have hold us back from that. And sometimes it doesn't take much more than diving into the origin of an old belief with your current knowledge to get rid of it. And it's something that's really good to do with a coach or even a friend, especially around limiting beliefs, because there's ways to remove those in a fairly short amount of time. So I'm going to offer you a journal exercise right now. And it's around, just pick one of your limiting beliefs, just one, and write it down. And it's really good to only focus on one at a time. But write it down. Write it down so that you can easily explain it to somebody in a sentence. This is my belief, right? Because you want to get it out of here that's doing all this and just make some sense out of it and put it on paper. Putting it on paper takes the emotion out of it, makes it much more black and white and easier to get your head around. And then ask yourself, why do you feel this is a limiting belief? First, you have to identify it as one. Why is it a limiting belief? How is it holding you back? How is it limiting you in some way? And how often does this belief arise? And then just acknowledge it for what it is. Just matter of fact, this is my belief. Put your stake in it. This is how I feel. This is my belief. And how does it make you feel? Right? Why do you feel it is a belief, but how does that belief make you feel when you really look at it? Think about the feelings and the emotions. Think about the specifics, the taste, the smells, how you react physically in that. I know for myself, years ago, when I knew that my marriage was over and I filed for divorce, that was the easy part. Then I had to come up with my financials. It took me an additional year to finalize my divorce because I didn't want to have to look at the financials, because that stressed me out so badly that I would feel it in my gut and in my heart. Every time I had to sit down and do it, it was like every cell in my body was screaming, no, I don't want to do this. And I had to push through it. And honestly, it wasn't that hard. I was making it much more difficult on myself because I allowed it to just feel overwhelming instead of matter of fact. What's my income? What's my output? What are my assets? Like, I didn't want to look at any of that. So it felt very, very stressful for me. So where in your body do you feel that? And then breathe into that. Just take a deep breath when you start to feel that feeling and imagine that breath pushing out from that section of your body and taking with it all of that negative feeling. It might take 3 or 4 times, but you'll feel yourself starting to relax. So then ask yourself, now we've come up with the limiting belief, we know why it is and how it makes us feel. So now, how does this limiting belief affect your life? Understand what the response is here. Get clear, hone in on how little this belief serves you and how it holds you back from living your life to the fullest. Because that's what we're about here on my PIF Talks, is about going from the person that we are today to the person that we want to be. Huge, right? We want to go from feeling like we're not getting the best out of ourselves in our life into an amazing life that we could only ever dream of. So hone in on it. How's it holding you back from living your fullest? What would you do without this limiting belief? That's an interesting question. What situations has this belief held you back from in the past? For me, that limiting belief around my finances and stressing myself out about wanting to see what it really looked like and not the picture that I had in my head. I was afraid to see what the reality was. But honestly, it held me back from freedom for more than a year. And from having that foundation and knowing where I was starting from. And when I think about it that way, I'm like, why did it take so long? What would you do without the presence of this particular belief? What would that free you up? If that belief didn't exist for you, how would things be different? And then just to get clear, where do you think this belief stems from? Think about some of the potential causes for this belief from, your upbringing to social media pressure. Where do you think it first started? Did it start in childhood? Most of our beliefs start in childhood before we're 10 years old. Or did it develop as you grew older? Did outside influences play a role? Really understand. And then rationalize with the limiting belief. Is there any truth to it? And finally, how would you like to rewrite this belief to empower you instead of disempower you? How would you like it to make you feel? Show up. And then test. That's your journal, right? So identify one limiting belief, one at a time, right? Why do you feel it's a limiting belief? How does it make you feel? How does it affect your life? What would you do without this limiting belief? Where do you think it stems from? And is there any truth to it? And finally, how would you like it to be different? Honestly, again, it's something you can do on your own. It does oftentimes show up a little different when you work it through with a coach or even with a friend, especially because you're not dealing with yourself. I find we lie to ourselves a lot. We rationalize things away. But when you're asked to have that conversation with somebody, you show up a little differently. And they can ask you questions that help you go a little bit deeper, right? So, as promised, I wanted to talk about my growth methodology, which, just like with some of your limiting beliefs, there are times where we just feel like things are out of control, that they're not going our way, or that we're stuck in quicksand. So the more we struggle, the deeper we go. And we procrastinate on things, right? So I've developed a methodology after working with a number of clients that is whether it's things are spiraling out of control in your financial world or in your home life or in your career life, it doesn't matter. This is universal, right? It's about getting off the merry-go-round and onto a growth path. And I call it the Cresci method, right? And yes, my name is Liz Cresci, or Liz Cresci in Italian. And the beauty here is that Cresci in Italian means you grow. It's a directive. It's the second person familiar in the conjugation of the conjugation of the verb crescere. So you can't get much more coachy than that. I get it, but to me, it just means that I am where I'm supposed to be, and I want everyone to grow. That's my company, the Legacy of Growth. It's how you show up in the world, how you grow, that affects everyone and everything around you. So let me go through this with you, and hopefully it will help you move yourself forward. So, Cresci, Cresci. So first, check the chaos, check your goals, check your finances, check where you are. Whatever it is that's negatively affecting you today, check it. And then record it, write it down. You have to get out of your head, as we talked earlier, and put it on paper in black and white. And sometimes that's really hard. I just went through this with a friend who was struggling with feeling like, everything was out of control. And a big part of that was financial. So she had to go through each and every bit of her finances, every individual debt that she had, credit card debt or student debt or loan debt, everything in her income, her paycheck, her second job, all of that. Write it all down, get super clear. If you have, if it's debt that you're dealing with, call every debtor and find out, what do you owe today? What's the interest rate? And how much do you have available to yourself? And when they're due, right? 4 things. What the total is today, how much is available total, like what your overall credit is, what the interest rate is, the minimum payment, and when it's due. 5 things, okay? Write them down. Get the whole list together. Spend whatever it takes. If it's not financial, if it's around your career, write down all the different things that you're thinking about, good, bad, or indifferent on this, right? If it's chaos in your life, start with different categories. Start with your family, start with your work, start with your personal, start with your friends, like whatever that is, write them down. And then examine each one. So that's the E in Cresci. Examine each one and question everything. Is it serving me? Is it true? Is it really insurmountable? Can I not get around this if it's not serving me? If it's serving you, put a little check mark by it, right? This works for me. I don't need to look deeply at it today. That's what that's saying. If you find that it's really not true, or it's an obstacle that you need to get over, like if it's a financial thing, okay. If you have a credit card and it's got $1,000 balance or $1,000 credit limit on it, and you owe $300 or you owe $1,000, is it really insurmountable? Can you not get through that? Of course you can. That's part of this. The growth is the plan. The growth is being strategic about it, is about making conscious choices and showing up the best for yourself. So then we get to the S of Cresci, solutions. Brainstorm ways through or around each of these seeming obstacles, right? Things that are standing in your way from being where you want to be, right? What needs to happen to make it go away? Brainstorm solutions. Also, a fun activity to do with a friend or a coach. You know what? There is no wrong answer. Every single option in a brainstorm, believe it has at least 10% merit, 10% truth. Yes, and. I don't know, let's look at the debt, right? You have $1,000 credit limit, you got $300 in debt, and you feel like you're drowning. Well, I could take on a second job. Okay. And what would that look like? I could collect cans. Yes. Okay. That's great. And what else could you do? Like, ask you, just brain dump. Don't judge the solutions. Put them out on paper, put them out on a whiteboard, whatever that is. Brain dump. And then choose one. Choose one of the things, the parts of the chaos that you wrote down, and choose the solution, right? It could be just one action or a small short category, however you want to do that. If you put them into different categories, choose one, because you have to start somewhere. And then implement, the I in Cresci, implement. Take action and go for it, because taking that action is going to get you out of your norm. It's going to, action and movement changes the way you think, it changes the way you feel. And once you tackle that and you've eradicated whatever it is, or you've changed it because you've chosen to change it, that's so empowering, super empowering. And that's it. Beliefs are critical to our growth. And getting off the merry-go-round and implementing the Cresci method will help get a handle on where things are and how to move yourself forward. That's what this is about. Growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. We all need to be growing in some way that we wish to grow, that it serves us. Stop just sitting on the couch, or stop just blindly going through life without taking time to see if this is what you want. Right? Mahatma Gandhi said, Your belief becomes your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. I think that's worth saying again. So really hear this. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So your belief creates your destiny. Theodore Roosevelt, believe in yourself and you're halfway there. And Anonymous, it's not because things are different that we do not dare. It's because we do not dare that things are difficult. You, of all people, deserve the life that you choose to live. You, of all people, deserve the life that you choose to live. We spend a lot of time just moving forward and being reactive to things and not consciously choosing our options. Life is all about options, our individual options. So for what it's worth, I'm giving you here my permission to stop the chaos, to pause where you are and take stock. And if it no longer serves you, let it go. You do not have to do it just because that's the way it's always been done. This is time for you to take control. So here's to a growth life. Vai cresci, amico mio. Vai cresci, amico mio. Go and grow, my friend. Thank you for joining me today on my PIF Talk. Again, this is brought to you by Life Coach University. Check us out at lifecoachuniversity.com. We have some upcoming 1-hour PIF Talks this month. We have Brian Pedersen at How Your Decision Making Will Influence Your Life. That's on Wednesday, April 19th at 4 o'clock Eastern. And we have our lovely Norma Fran, Weight Loss Your Way, coming on April 26th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And while you're at lifecoachuniversity.com, check out the Let's Coach 2023. These are 30-minute mini sessions throughout the week at various times with different coaches. Bring your challenge or just join in the conversation. Here's your opportunity to get a boost whenever you need it. We do it through the Q&A box, so it does stay confidential. And every session is different. So, help us coach millions more. We do all of these sessions we do for you. And all we ask is that you help us spread the word about what we do here and pay it forward in some way. Do something kind for someone else just because, maybe it's pay the toll for the guy behind you on the street or buy somebody's coffee, or, we're in the spring cleanup, maybe it's breaking somebody's yard or offering to help them, clean out a closet or something. It doesn't have to cost any money. It's just about the love, right? Spreading the love. And here at Life Coach University, we'd love your feedback or share share whatever pay it forward that you've done so that we can celebrate it with you. You can reach us at hello@lifecoachuniversity.com. Again, I'm Liz Cresci. I appreciate your time today. I hope you found some value in our conversation, and I look forward to catching you next time. Thursday, 3 o'clock is my Let's Coach 2023. Again, we're talking about various aspects of growth and how we can grow into the life that we can be proud of, that we want to have, so that come the end, when we look back on our lives, we know we didn't leave anything on the table. So thank you and have a great day.